Hola clase, vamos a hablar de acuerdo de adjetivos. So we're learning a new grammar point today. Specifically, it's called adjective agreement or acuerdo de adjetivos in Spanish. Now, you just went through a paragraph where you had to identify the adjectives, and I told you to take a look at the last letter or two in each of those. So you saw things like um, chicos, guapos. And if you noticed, you should have known guapos was an adjective. It's on your vocab list. It means good looking. You notice that chicos ends in os and guapos also ends in os. Interesting. Or you saw things like una chica organizada. And if you remember, we made the una agree with chica. Well, here's that organizada also agreeing with chica. It also ends in A. So just like our articles, our words like el, la, los, and las, and un, una, unos, and unas, in Spanish, our adjectives have to agree. You might also notice that they don't say the good looking boys, they say the boys good looking or a girl organized. They've got the adjective after the noun. So there's some things about adjectives that are different from Spanish, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Hopefully you have your Libro de Gramática at home, and you should go to page 4 because we're going to fill it out right now. Dan? All right, so hopefully yours looks like this on page 4. It's at the top, and it says Acuerdo de Adjetivos. Okay? So at the very top it says adjetivos, adjectives in English, are words that modify a noun. And you probably learned a more simple word. You probably learned that adjectives are words that describe a noun. I can fit that word in there, sort of. I have big handwriting, so it doesn't always work for me. Okay? So adjectives are words that describe a noun. Modify is just a fancy way to say describe for the most part. It also covers things like numbers. In Spanish, you make adjectives agree. That agree is that matching up, just like we did with the articles. You're making it match up, both in number, and number refers to that singular plural idea, and gender. And gender refers to that ending in o or a. And remember, we said all nouns in Spanish have a gender. The gender doesn't always go with what would seem logical because with people, we tend to follow what most people's genders are. We tend to go with masculine and feminine. But with like a chair, they made chair feminine. There's nothing feminine about the chair. It's just that they decided, chair's feminine, desk is masculine. Who knows why? Fun times. Okay, so with adjectives, if you are modifying something that is singular and masculine, you want your adjective to end in o if it already ends in an o or an a. If it is singular and feminine, you're going to end with an a. If it is plural and masculine, you're going to end with an os. And if it is plural and feminine, it's going to end with an as. So you have o, a, os, and as. And if you think about it, again, with the exception of like L, this matches up with what you learned for your various articles. Remember? Okay? You don't need to write this part. in your notes. I think that'll probably confuse you later if I'm not talking to you, okay? The rest of this you want there. All right. Now, there is an exception. Let me see if I have it later if I need to explain now. Yes, there is an exception. So, if you have a word like grande or intelligente, if you notice, these don't end in O or A to begin with. And if you notice on your vocab list, all the ones that ended in O, I wrote O/A because they can change. The ones that end in E don't change for gender. They don't worry about gender. They only worry about singular and plural. So you can have a pizza grande, a big pizza, a large pizza, or you can have pizzas grandes. I added an S to make it plural, but you notice I didn't change it to O or ah to match. I didn't make it ah-s to match pizza. Okay? The other thing is, if you notice here when I did this about pizza, I did it. In Spanish, adjectives generally come after nouns, not before. Ooh, I can write, maybe. Not before. This is what you get for trying to talk and teach and talk and write at the same time, kids. Okay, so in English, we say the pretty girl, but in Spanish, they say la chica bonita. Bonita's pretty. Notice they made the a agree with chica, but they're literally saying, remember that literal versus translation? Transliteration, the girl pretty. Translation, the way we would say it, the pretty girl. Okay? Now, you're going to have a bit of practice also, and you're going to have homework that is due next Monday at class time. To access your homework, I still suggest you do the practice I have coming up after this. But to access your homework, you need a password. And the password is, are you ready? I'm going to write it down too. Password is trabajador. Trabajador. All lowercase. Okay? Trabajador. When you type that in, it'll let you access your homework. Bien? I suggest you do the practice. If you're still confused, email me or hop on a Google Meet. Otherwise, buena suerte. Adios.